Hey guys, Kaikuna here. Today I'm listing off my top 5 favorite games of the 90s. Now, I know that this is technically a 2000s game, but I swear that this is the only exception in this list. The reason I put this at the number 5 spot is because of its captivating story and gameplay. Although I usually dislike Disney's more western themes, I think it meshes well with Square Enix's style. The story is well written and can be enjoyed by gamers of all ages. While at some points it can be kinda cringy, I think the positives heavily outweigh the negatives in this regard. Another big plus is the game's art style and graphics. While a lot of it is anatomically incorrect, I mean, just look at those feet! It still recreates the art style that Square Enix is well known for. Now, you might be asking me, is there anything that I dislike about this game? And while I enjoyed the game thoroughly, there's one thing I hate about it, and that is the combat. It feels really clunky, and it doesn't add anything to the game. It's also incredibly hard, like really hard. For most of the fights, I had to use save states, just to get past even the quote-unquote easy fights. Although the combat is poorly made, I still think that this game holds up. And that's why I put it at the number 5 spot. Number 4 on my list is Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo. Donkey Kong Country, made by Rare, is number 4 because of its graphics, music, and amazing gameplay. Although it was made by a British company, it definitely feels like a Japanese game in terms of its level design and difficulty. However, this game is incredibly challenging, and only some of the most seasoned gaming veterans will be able to complete it. The story is that Donkey Kong has all of his bananas stolen by reptiles, and he has to find them with his son, Diddy Kong. Although the story is severely lacking any depth and is lazy, it's still definitely on par with most Western games. And while the story is completely unimaginative and has no driving force behind it whatsoever, the incredibly fun and fast-paced platforming definitely outweighs the horrible story. Also, the romantic side plot is definitely a huge plus. The graphics are also really good. With the developers having invested billions of dollars into 3D technology, this game was way ahead of its time. While it certainly has not aged well, it was still a huge technological advancement at the time it was released. The music is also pretty good. While it doesn't sound good at all, at the time people certainly thought it was good. I might have to give some warnings to the younger kids who want to play this game. It contains very strong themes of violence and has horror elements. I suggest playing this game with your parents if you are under the age of 11. And if you don't, then just be prepared for what's to come. And that's why Donkey Kong Country is on my number 4 spot. Now, I usually dislike this genre of games, but one of the very few games to get me out of my comfort zone and actually made me enjoy this type of game was Banjo-Kazooie for the Nintendo 64. The story is that Banjo's sister, Tooty, gets kidnapped by a witch who wants to steal her natural beauty, and you and your bird friend, Kazooie, have to save her. Speaking of Tooty, personally, I really like her character design. She has blonde hair and pigtails, kinda like my crush in algebra. And while the story is still borderline lazy, it's still a breath of fresh air after playing Donkey Kong Country. The beginning cutscene is only about 3 minutes long, but any professional game designer will tell you that 3 minutes is simply not enough exposition for a full game. Although the lack of exposition is definitely exhausting, at least the tutorial is actually kinda useful. And even though the boss fight is a bit too short and a bit difficult, I still think it's a really good ending for the perfect 3D platforming game. And that's why Banjo-Kazooie is my number 3 pick. My second favorite game of the 90s is Pokemon Red. It was the first Pokemon game of the series and really revolutionized the JRPG genre as a whole. In the game, you capture and use Pokemon to fight in the battles. Despite being based off of an anime, it still holds up and is really good. You start off as an 11-year-old boy named Red, who sets out to become the Pokemon Master. As you go through the game, you defeat various gym leaders and evolve your Pokemon to be better fighters. However, this game does have a dark side, namely the evil Team Rocket. Their goal is to capture all the Pokemon and force them to fight. On your travels, you defeat Team Rocket and bring them to justice for their crimes against Pokemon. At the end of the game, after beating all 8 of the gym leaders and the evil Team Rocket, you have to beat the Elite Four. The twist in this game, though, is, spoiler alert, that you have to battle your ultimate rival, Blue. Looking back at this game, it truly was a masterpiece of its time. It spawned a massive series of games, its own anime, and dozens of copycats. In the end, I guess it's your goal to eradicate the competition. And my favorite game of the 90s is, drumroll please, Sonic Adventure. Sonic Adventure was released in late 1999 onto the Sega Dreamcast. Because of its amazing platform, the game ran fast. Interestingly, this was the first 3D open-world Sonic game ever made. Altogether, this is one of the best looking games of the 90s, and even still holds up today. Well, maybe not the graphics, but longtime fans of the Sonic series will enjoy the intricately crafted plot, where you get the emeralds. Like most other games, the world starts off pretty peacefully, until the evil Dr. Robotnik destroys the Chaos Emerald, causing widespread chaos and mass destruction. Sonic and friends collect the Chaos Emerald to stop Dr. Robotnik from taking over the city. Throughout the game, you'll unlock and play as other characters from the franchise, such as Knuckles, Amy, and Eggman. I really liked how they made Sonic a total badass in this game. He literally dropped out of a plane and stopped a bunch of terrorists. This probably didn't age well, given that 9/11 happened 6 months after the release of this game. This game also introduces many new characters and enemies to the Sonic franchise, who are still liked to this day. Speaking of new characters, wow! Just look at those female characters! Rouge the Bat is a strong, independent, and deadly femme fatale, and a quite beautiful one at that. I mean, just look at her outfit, and her awesome purple wings! Let's not leave out the other new girl, Amy Rose. She's a strong female warrior, wielding a huge hammer, and her bright pink hair really makes her stand out. But it's a bit short for my taste. Altogether, the new characters, complex plot, great graphics, and amazing gameplay make this my #1 pick for the top 5 games of the 90s.